everybody, so this is going to be a book review for Gone Girl. This video is so incredibly late. I read this book in November and I'm barely going to review it now. I don't know why it's taking me so long to review this book. I wanted to, I've been putting it off. I didn't want to just not review the book because I really loved it. It was my favorite book of 2014, so I really wanted to make a video about my thoughts about it. So I'm sure most of you guys know what this book is about. A married couple, Amy and Nick. They seem to be having the perfect life going for them. So within the first 50 pages of the book, we learn that Nick has a twin sister. Her name is Margot. I think he calls her Go. And she is right off the bat my favorite character. I loved her throughout the entire book. She was the only character that I could really relate to because everybody in this entire book was super jacked up and they just had really messed up, complicated lives. And she was the only one that just made sense of everything and had the right mind frame for everything that was going on. It's been about 150 pages and Nick doesn't really seem that anxious about his wife being gone. So the reader's kind of like, well, why isn't he freaking out? Why is he more frantic about his wife being missing? Maybe she's dead. Maybe she's like in a dungeon somewhere. I don't know. But he's just not freaking out as much as he should be. So then we get to page 142 and we learn that Mr. Nick Doon has a mistress. And at this point, I'm just like, you know what? Screw it. I don't like Nick. He's a horrible person. No wonder his wife is gone. Either she ran away or something because he's been cheating on her. So obviously that has to do something with why she's gone and why she's missing. So I'm like, okay, well, does she know? Did Nick get rid of her? And not only is he cheating on her, but he's cheating on her with one of his students. Like, how cliche can you get, dude? So naturally, everything is just getting worse and worse for Nick because now we find out he has a mistress and then we read more and we find out that Amy's pregnant, or she was pregnant. We don't know if she's alive yet or not. So she's pregnant. Nick has a mistress. There's a lot of motive here for him to want to get rid of Amy. So by now the reader's like, okay, yeah, he did it. He's not acting right. He has a mistress. She was pregnant. She's gone. Like, what else is there to think of? And I really like how this book was split into like 3 parts because it kind of gave an element of surprise for the next page, and then you read something right off the bat of like what the next plot point or plot twist is. And then we keep reading and we learn that Amy is actually alive. So it turns out that Amy actually knew that Nick was cheating on her because she was walking to the bar, which is Nick and his sister's bar that they opened up. So she was walking to it one day and she sees her husband kissing this other girl and like acting the same way that he acts with her. And so obviously this would piss anybody off, and she like goes home and pretends everything is okay. So at this point, she has been scheming and planning and just thinking of a whole bunch of ways to just ruin Nick's life. She has him sign something to boost up her life insurance to make it seem like he could get rid of her quick and then get a whole bunch of money. She bought a whole bunch of stuff on his credit cards just to make it seem like he was waiting for the wife to be gone so that he could just live the bachelor life again. And she just did all this stuff to make it seem like Nick had motive to kill her, and that he did kill her. So before we find out that Amy is alive, we actually get that scene where the police are in Nick and Amy's house and they are using the black light to look for any blood, and they find this huge puddle of blood in the kitchen floor and it looks like somebody had tried to wash it up, but like in a messy way, kind of like a guy would do it. I mean, obviously not to say that all guys are messy, but Nick was messy. He was just that stereotypical kind of douchebag of a guy. He was very selfish. So when Amy kind of took all the blood out of her and like threw it on the floor, she made sure to clean it up as if Nick would clean it up. And so all this time that Amy is missing supposedly, and Nick is having to deal with her parents and with the media and just everybody breathing down his neck because they want to know what happened. And Nick just keeps making mistake over mistake. Like, he takes a picture with that journalist lady and she kind of made him do that, but it looks bad on his part. And then it finally comes out to the media that Amy was pregnant and then that he had a mistress, and so everything is just going wrong for Nick. And then that's when he calls that lawyer. All the while Nick is like freaking out and he's dealing with all this stuff, the media, and then her parents actually shy away from him and make it seem like he doesn't have the support of Amy's parents anymore. So that makes him look even worse. So all this time Nick is going through everything, and Amy is just relaxing at this like place in the middle of the woods somewhere. She dyed her hair. She's like not eating right, so she gained a little bit of weight. She's like not really taking care of herself in the way that she looks perfect all the time. And so while Amy is there, she ends up meeting this girl and then this other guy. I forget their names. Just felt that they were scheming something and that they were going to take advantage of Amy, and in the end they did. They were playing like mini golf or something, and Amy drops her big old money bag. It was like, she had like $6,000 or something in cash. And so they pretty much attack her and they take the money. Okay, so that's the one thing that I couldn't really figure out. And at this point, I think it is what I think it is. So these people, they take her money. They take like $5,000-$6,000 that she had, that she was using to live off of until she could figure out how to kill herself and like drift off into the ocean so that they can find her, and so that Nick can basically go to death row or something. And so another character in this book is this guy named Desi, and apparently he was Amy's ex-boyfriend in college or high school or something, and they were like serious for a short while, but apparently this guy was really obsessed with Amy and even like tried to kill himself in her bedroom or something, and it just got really dramatic with this guy. And so Amy, knowing that this guy is obsessed with her, still obsessed with her because he has been sending her letters and stuff throughout the years, so she takes advantage of the situation, and so she has nobody left to go to. And Amy can't go to her parents or her friends or the media. She can't go to anybody because her plan to basically ruin Nick's life isn't completed yet. So what she ends up doing is she calls up this Desi guy, and they work something out so that he can take her back to his like lakeside house or something. And by this point, Amy is basically coming up with a new plan on how to ruin Nick's life. And the plan that she rethinks is just insane. It is the craziest thing I've ever read. I finished the book and I was just like, what just happened? How? Oh my God. So I just found it absolutely insane that she manipulated everybody, basically, but especially this guy who loved her and was obsessed with her. And so she made it seem as if the whole time, since the beginning, this guy, Desi, had kidnapped her, took her to his lakeside home, and basically held her hostage because he had been obsessed with her since like high school or college or whenever they were together. And the way she does it and the way that she carries out her plans is like freaky, scary, brilliant, because it totally makes sense to everybody except obviously Nick and his sister, who have figured out that she was messing with them the entire time. It's not something super insane to like make it look like he did something to her and then like go live somewhere, then have everybody hate him and then maybe come back or something. Seriously, this entire book, it made you want to keep reading and reading, because the beginnings always started with some crazy plot twists sometimes, and then the endings of the chapters always ended in a kind of cliffhanger, so you wanted to keep reading, and I loved it. So I finished it kind of quickly. I think I finished it in like a week. That's fast for me. So about 3/4 of the way into the book, we already know that these two people are some messed up individuals, because Nick has been kind of manipulated by this woman since he's met her. Nick is kind of that cool guy that everybody is friends with but doesn't have any real close friends until he met Amy. And so he kind of clung on to her because that was the person, that was kind of like his soulmate, I guess. And Amy, we learn, has always been this kind of manipulative person. She manipulated that friend of hers when they were teenagers to kind of make it seem like she wanted to get rid of Amy so that she could be the new Amy. And I kind of came up with the theory for why she's so messed up, because we learned that her parents are authors and they write these children's books called Amazing Amy, and they're kind of based off of their daughter, but they're based off of everything that she didn't do. And it kind of seems like the Amy in the books is like the ideal daughter that Amy never was. So like she wouldn't get picked for the volleyball team, and then in Amazing Amy she would be like the star athlete. Or if Amy wanted to play an instrument but decided that she didn't want to, in the books Amazing Amy would like be a star musician and go on to be great things. So I kind of felt that Amy is really messed up in the head because she grew up with this mentality that she was never enough. And on the outside, this girl was really pretty. Everybody wanted to be friends with her. She was that girl that like knew what to tell you in order to make you do what she wanted. Kind of like Allison, if you guys have ever seen Pretty Little Liars, kind of like that, but to a next level, because she actually enjoyed making people's lives miserable, and that was really weird. So we keep on reading, and what happens next with Desi and Amy, I was so not even expecting. I was just so shocked when I read that she had manipulated him to have sex with her so that it would look like she was raped, and then she killed him to make it look like it was self-defense. It's crazy. And so the next day, or not even the next day, like within a couple hours, she has blood all over herself from Desi. And so she drives back to Nick's house, or to Nick and Amy's house, and she just shows up on their front step out of nowhere. Like, how are you going to be gone for a month and just show up at the house again? And by this point, we know that Nick is like aware of everything that she's done. He knows that she's been messing with him. The sister knows. She gives her statement, and then Nick takes her back home. And so she takes a shower, and she tells him to go in the shower with her so that she can tell him what actually happened without risking anybody listening in, like in a microphone or something. So that's like super paranoid status. So they're like in the shower together, and she's basically telling him that she killed Desi and that everything that he knows is true, and that he basically can't do anything about it because she has so much leverage over him. Not in the way that she has like a secret over him, but because she knows that she is the only person that really knows Nick, and the only person that will be able to stay with him and actually love him. And Nick hates her by this point. He seriously hates her. She ruined his life up until this point. But like in the back of his head, he knows that she's right, which is just so completely twisted. So not only do we know that, but then Amy gets herself pregnant, because before she had gone missing, they were trying to have a baby. So she went to the doctor and she got herself pregnant. And so at this point, she's like, you're not gonna leave me because I'm pregnant, and you're gonna help me raise this kid, or else, you know, he's just gonna look like a horrible person. She's gonna be the single mom whose husband left her after, you know, she was kidnapped and raped over and over again. That's how it's gonna look. But they both know the truth, and so since she has that over him, he can't leave. And now he has a kid. I mean, it's his kid, so I mean, he can't just leave and not help, because I mean, that's his son. He's gonna be a dad. And so at this point, the only person that I feel sorry for is Margot, his sister, because they were so close. And so she has to live with her brother, living with this maniac who has manipulated him into staying with her, and now they're having a kid. Like, that just sucks so bad for her, because she's not gonna leave. Their dad is like kind of insane, and he lives in a home, and she's the only person that knows the truth besides these two people. But she can't leave because it's her brother and she loves him, and now she's gonna have a nephew, but with this crazy person. It's just crazy ironic, because she got back at him for cheating on her by forcing him to stay with her. Like, who does that? Oh, and there's a part where Amy is actually talking to the police, and I wrote a note where she's like A and B and going back and forth, and how she's talking about how everybody was so obsessed with her and she couldn't get people to like get off her back. I wrote a note and I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry everybody was so obsessed with you, Regina George. I'm hilarious. So for any of you guys who have seen American Horror Story, okay, and I'm going to spoil the end of Asylum, which is I think the second season. So just mute it for a second, because I have this like weird theory that doesn't make any sense, but still. So do you guys remember when the main character in Asylum, she was taken by Bloodyface, and he got her pregnant, and so she tried to like have an abortion by herself. So she tried to do it on herself, but she failed. And so she actually ended up having the baby, but she gave him up for adoption. And so the kid grew up, and he found out that Bloodyface was his father and that his mom had killed him. So the kid just had total resentment for his mom. And so in the last episode, he tries to kill the mom, but she ends up killing him. And I just have this really weird feeling like the kid, Nick and Amy's kid, will grow up to be that guy in Asylum. It doesn't make any sense, but to me, it, like, I don't know why I thought of him after I finished this book. I'm like, oh my god, Nick can't live with this forever. I mean, he's insane if he's just gonna deal with this for the rest of his life. Like, he has time to come up with some kind of plan to get back at her. And so when the kid finds out everything that the mom did to him, I feel like he would like turn on the mom. I don't know. It's just, I don't know. I just really want Nick to somehow get back at Amy, like in a way that benefits both Nick and the kid. I'm not creative enough to come up with a theory, but I really want her to just get it because she deserves it too. Alright, so I did watch the movie and it was so good. It was just as good as the book. I mean, not better because they miss a couple things. Nothing major, but I mean, it was really, really good. The casting in that movie was perfect. I mean, Rosamund, I don't know how to say her name, but the woman who played Amy, she's like literally what I pictured in my head when I pictured Amy. She was the beautiful, like, blonde-haired, blue-eyed woman, and Nick was kind of like that doofy kind of cool guy that I pictured also. In Margot, she was just super funny, and then Tyler Perry as a lawyer was perfect, and everybody was just perfect casting. And Neil Patrick Harris as Desi, he did a really good job in portraying that really creepy character. Oh, and the one other thing that I was gonna say is that I actually found this book kind of funny, like in a really dark, twisted way. So basically, I found a new favorite author. I'm so excited to finish reading Gillian Flynn's. I learned her name is Jillian, not Gillian. I'm really excited to read the rest of her books. This video is probably really long already, so I'm just gonna stop it right here. Leave any comments down below of what you thought about the book, of the movie, or whatever. If you'd like me to read anything, whatever you want. Thanks so much for watching all of my rambles and rants about this amazing story. I will see you in my next video. Bye.